Hey everyone, obviously you can tell from the title of this video, we are pregnant. We are so freaking excited. Yay Ruby, yay Ruby. Literally over the moon excited and just so, I don't know another word other than excitement. We're just so happy and so excited for this next adventure. Pumped. It'll be our first baby. We have a baby that is coming early August. I am actually currently 20 weeks pregnant as of today, or a couple days ago, I guess. But yeah, just overall feeling pure excitement, happiness, and pregnancy so far. I'm feeling really, really good. I'm actually surprised no one has said anything on like anywhere, and I've had a lot of friends message me and say like, you're not showing yet, like I can't tell on Instagram or anything like that. I feel like it's when I have leggings and a crop top on where I'm like, I think I look bloated. Or Pat and I kept saying for a while, it looks like, did I put on a couple pounds? And I'm at the gym.
Yeah, you'd rather just show.
Because then on some days, it's like, I feel like that's not the case. And so, you know, it's just like water weight and it's like bloat. But anyways, I feel like turning this past week, I do feel like I'm starting to show now, 20 weeks. I just feel like it's a little more, what?
Oh, dang.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like a little more obvious now. Not that I care, but I do feel like it's kind of like a weird time period where you are trying to hide it if you're online or, you know, whatever. Yeah, and then we were like, the other day we were looking at things like strollers and stuff in the store. And it was like, initially it was a few weeks ago and I was like, oh, this feels kind of weird that I'm not showing, but it doesn't matter. But like, you know, you're just kind of like looking, and then there's like other women and they're like very, very pregnant. I'm like, are we looking at this too early? Like, I don't know, but
if you ever want to look at strollers, nobody comes up to you and like, you're not pregnant, get out of here.
Yeah, I know.
It was always just like, what do you need help with?
Yeah, I feel like it's just like, I don't know, it's just like I hadn't thought about it prior or whatever. But anyways, we are just literally so freaking excited. We do not know the gender. We are going to wait until the baby comes to find out, so it's a huge surprise. We definitely have had mixed reactions from family and friends on that. I feel like our parents and like family members that are older, they're like, oh, I love that it's a surprise, and you know. And then I have a couple best friends that are like, you're crazy, like how are you not finding out? But we also have had like family friends and some family members actually that are like, what, Britt doesn't want to find out? Because I do consider myself to be a planner, and so I think everyone's like, she likes to plan things and like know, and just like very detail oriented. So it's kind of funny because we're not, and I'm totally okay with that. We did, you know, you figure out your 10-week appointment. You know, you do testing and they can tell the gender at that point. And then we just did the 20-week fetal anatomy exam. And so for that specifically, we had to like close our eyes because as they're doing the ultrasound, I guess it's more obvious, you know?
It's pretty difficult not knowing. I mean, not because of planning, but just for appointments.
Yeah, like I feel like, and especially too, like that testing that we did at 10 weeks and just some of the different testing and whatever, I'm too scared to open anything up on the portal. Like I'm just terrified that it's gonna be there. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of harder not to find out. Like you have to just keep communicating like all the things. So anyways, we're really excited about waiting. I feel like it doesn't make too much of a difference. I mean, I want to have like a nursery and do all that, but I feel like that'll be fun to do, you know, when the baby gets here, or just, I mean, we have so much to figure out before that. So I definitely want to do a nursery and stuff like that. But I feel like for the most part, I do like more neutrals, and then you can add kind of like the other little details later or pick out the theme, you know. I'm just not, I don't know. I'm kind of surprising myself as well because I don't feel like I have to find out. We always said that we would wait just because I think it is just such a special surprise. But I didn't know if like once I got pregnant, if I was gonna be like, oh, I have to know, you know, baby name, nursery theme, like all the things. I thought maybe I would have a change of heart, but here we are at 20 weeks and we both still feel good about waiting. Okay, so how do we find out, and kind of like the backstory of everything. I feel like every journey is like super special, and I do want to make it a point to say, if you are somebody that's struggling with infertility, like our hearts go out to you, because I cannot imagine that, and just the struggle and the pain that comes with that. So definitely like in our thoughts and prayers, because it's just, yeah, I feel like, you know, this has been quite a journey for us to get to this point, which I'll go into the details in a second here. But yeah, some people, you know, they get pregnant right away and they don't have any worries, and you know, that's wonderful. But I feel like not necessarily the case for most people, or we were kind of a little surprised by that. I don't know if we were like naive, but okay, so to back up a little bit, last year, so October 2023, so like a little more over than a year and a half ago, Pat and I had decided, oh, let's just start trying, like we'll see if it happens, you know, all of those kind of things. And we tried for 3 months, and that was me tracking like my cycle and ovulation windows, like just with an app. After trying for those 3 months, and again, I know you hear so many stories of like, it takes time, it can take up to a year, it can this, X, Y, and Z. I don't know why.
The year is crazy. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Full year.
A whole year, yeah, crazy. I feel like for me initially, like I was just like, yeah, I know for some people it is hard, but I don't know if you ever expect it for yourself, you know? So I was just like, what the heck, you know? But anyways, after those 3 months of trying, I did have a lot of sitting fear and just anxiety about some medical, like some family history stuff. So looking back now, I feel like, you know, God's timing is absolutely perfect, and you know, this is the greatest thing. Like we're so excited, and everything like works out. God has a plan. But after those each month of trying and stuff, I just kind of kept coming back to my twin sister's disorder. So she has an ataxia disorder, and our whole life from the time that she was 4 years old, we're fraternal twins. But since the time that we were 4, when she started having different symptoms, and we went to Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic and like all the hospitals, all these week-long tests, like intense testing, we were always told that her condition is just very sporadic and spontaneous. I feel like me personally, as I've gotten older, I'm not sure at what point. I mean, I feel like my teenage years, I kind of always in the back of my head was kind of like, is like, you know, is that true? Or is it just so rare that that's what they kind of said? So when we were trying, I felt like that was weighing really heavy in the back of my mind. I would wake up in the middle of the night kind of having like very anxious thoughts about it, and just like, yeah, very like took over my brain, I would say, you know, just the struggle and just, you know, the unknown. And so at that point, we were like, okay, like let's just chill a little bit, and you know, let's kind of see if we can figure anything out. So I talked to my mom and my sister, and you know, kind of was like, is there more testing that can be done? Can my sister go back to a neurologist? Can we like look further into this? And they were both very supportive of it and understood the concern, you know. So I'm thankful for that, and that kind of started the process of us completely putting a pause on everything, a hold, not trying to get pregnant for, it ended up being a solid, I mean, it was almost you figure it was, yeah, it was almost a year. Yeah, it was actually 13 months, you know, so very, very challenging this past year, because obviously we thought at this point we would have a baby. But again, I want to reiterate that like God's timing is absolutely perfect. And so in the scheme of things, like in those moments and like all the tears, the heartache, like the waiting, that season felt forever.
Stressful
yeah,
and forever. And
just so like emotional, you know. But I can like say, like obviously being on this side of it, like I feel like we're in such a better, I mean, I know like God answered the question and like just answered our prayers with this baby and, you know, the timing. So anyways, going back to my sister's diagnosis, essentially, they went ahead and did a test, and it was a genetic test, but it wasn't for her exact ataxia disorder. It was actually for a symptom that has become like onset now at this point in her life. Just to give a quick background on my sister, so around 4, my mom's kind of started noticing some different things, her standing forward instead of back. Essentially, they called it a cerebellum atrophy disorder. Your cerebellum controls fine motor skills and movement, and something was obviously just different with hers. And, you know, as the past 30 years now. She is in a wheelchair and needs more help. She lives independently though. She actually lives with a roommate, and yeah, it's incredible. But essentially things are getting worse over time, and she is in a wheelchair and has like a harder time now. But anyways, the initial testing came back, like I thought we were having the genetic testing, and ended up that it was for something else. So I was like, you know, we were excited because we were like, oh, we can start trying, we're gonna have the results. So we'll either know with those results what that means for Pat and I, if that means naturally conceiving, or consider other alternatives to understand the impact on the baby and if we needed to pursue anything else. And anyway, so those results came back, and it wasn't for the genetic testing for the ataxia. So again, it's just like, it was like a big bump, I would say, because then we had to pursue again her to get testing done, and then eventually us to get our own genetic counselors, and then to do the testing. But in all of this, it is crazy because after 29 years, we do have a diagnosis on my sister, which is crazy. So we were able to diagnose the specific ataxia disorder that she has. With that being said, incredibly, incredibly rare. So rare, both parents had to carry the genetic mutation for it to be a percentage chance that my sister would get it. So my mom and my dad have my brother, who is only 17 months older, and then me, my twin sister. My mom had remarried, and I have 2 stepsisters. So there's 5 of us. Everyone's in Pittsburgh except us. But needless to say, out of the 3 of us, unfortunately, my sister was the one that was impacted. Nobody in the family has been, you know, again, incredibly rare, but we have a specific diagnosis, which is crazy. So getting that diagnosis meant that Pat and I could do genetic counseling and get genetically tested to see if we do carry that mutation. Both of us have to have it for the baby to be potentially affected. So very thankful that Pat does not carry the genetic mutation, and therefore we were able to conceive naturally and didn't have to consider anything else or like further testing or anything like that. So huge, huge news. Yeah, like the day we found out was like, you know, just crazy, because I feel like obviously everybody wants a healthy baby, you know, like that's what everybody would want. So to kind of have that relief, I felt like it was this massive weight off of my chest to be able to say like, okay, like now we need to pursue just getting pregnant, all in God's timing, and like one less worry. I feel really thankful that my sister understood why I wanted to do this. And, you know, while she is happy and lives independently, it's obviously a struggle. You know, it's always hard to have a physical disability and to just, you know, live a very different life than her siblings or, you know, most people around you, you know. So I feel thankful in that regard, as well as with my mom and family and my friends. My friends were huge support because, you know, it's, yeah, this was just like a very emotional journey, you know. But anyways, with that being said, crazy that we have a diagnosis, and just thankful that obviously we were okay to get pregnant naturally. Very, very fortunate. Again, I feel like it all goes back to God's timing and everything, but we found out about being able to conceive naturally, and we got pregnant with the first try, which was insane, especially because we had tried this 3 months, you know, almost a year before. So yeah, the feeling of that was just like insane, cloud 9. So how do we find out? Because I feel like this is another thing, you guys, like I feel like, you know, you think about like what you're gonna do when you find out you're pregnant, to tell your spouse or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if you think like that, but I have always, you know, I feel like it's common, but you think like, oh, how are you gonna tell somebody, or how are you gonna tell your partner? Okay, so we were like, because of trying before, and I feel like the emotional journey of that, like just so upset, you know, taking the test and just being like really upset about it, if you know, obviously read not pregnant. We had talked about just basically waiting and not testing early, because a lot of pregnancy tests you can test like 5 days or like 5 days before your missed period now. And Pat was like, no, just wait. And I was like, okay, like let's just let my body tell me naturally. by missing the period, right? Because my period has always been really clockwork. And so the day comes and I'm usually to the hour, like when I'm gonna start, like roughly a window in the morning, you know? And it didn't happen. I didn't get my period. And I was like, okay. And so in my head, Pat and I had the whole day planned. We were doing like some of our favorite things. Yeah, in my head. So we were like, I had like the whole day planned. Like, we're gonna get our favorite coffee. We're gonna go to like do this walk that we love in this one park in Laguna, and like, you know, all the things, lunch, all that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the test. And if we're pregnant, then I'm just gonna tell him randomly at like one of our favorite places. Like, you know, I'm just gonna do it spur of the moment. Okay, so I take this test, it reads I'm pregnant. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I don't even know if I was in the bathroom for 1 second that test said pregnant. I was out here, I like immediately came out of the bathroom and I was like, oh my God, guess what? We're pregnant. Like, it was like so fast. I mean, there's not an ounce of my being that I could have like held on to that information for even an hour, let alone even like 5 seconds. Like, I was just like, so freaking excited. And so I came out and Pat was like, wait, what? And then I showed him and I was like, we're literally pregnant. So that was exciting. What do you think?
Great surprise.
Like, yeah, I feel like you were just out here and you were like, wait, what? And I'm like, we're pregnant.
I was like making food and she just, you check this out, I'm pregnant. Okay. Yeah,
in my head though, it's just funny because I feel like some people have talked, I've seen other girls talk about this, like in your head, like how you're gonna reveal it. It's gonna be like this reveal. And I'm like, looking back now, I'm like, I don't even know if I was in that bathroom for 1 second reading that thing. I saw it and was like, and then, you know, obviously took another test and it confirmed everything. So that was just kind of fun and very, very quick. If I hadn't taken that test, I would have probably known less than 5 or 6 days later. Being fatigued completely set in almost immediately, wasn't it?
Crazy how you don't notice stuff, but
yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, like now looking back, like, yeah, like it's just like, I don't know, like and even probably prior to testing, I was probably like a little more tired. I don't know if we remember that or not. But I know a lot of girls say like their boobs were super sore. I had no other indication truly other than missing my period and then being very tired like pretty quickly therefore after. I'm somebody that has like typically pretty good energy, and the tiredness of that first, I want to say the first like at least 7-8 weeks, I mean, it was like kind of insane. Like I would just like fall asleep. Like 7 o'clock after the gym, I would fall asleep and be like dead asleep. And Pat would be like, you wanna eat? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I was napping a lot. It's just crazy because I'm just like not like a sleeper. Like Pat would get home from work and I'm like, babe, I literally took a nap from like 2:30 to 3 o'clock today. Like, which is just not me. And then there was one weekend, well, it was like football season, and I would like in between games or like watching a game, I would fall asleep and just be in and out of like napping, which again, you guys,
she's not
like,
a napper.
No, like, and I don't sleep. I typically sleep like 6 hours. I know I need more sleep, but I just am like this. I've always been like this in my adult life. And which is ironic because my mom says as a baby I slept very well, napped all the time. She'd have to like actually wake me up because I was sleeping too much. So it's kind of funny, but in my adult life I just don't nap. So anyways, long story short, the fatigue would definitely I would have definitely had known. Otherwise I felt really good my first trimester because I'm already in the second trimester. In my first trimester, maybe a couple other symptoms were definitely like food aversions, but it was mostly coffee. I love coffee. That's one of the things we do out here all the time is go get coffee, try every coffee shop. Zero interest. At 20 weeks, I'm just getting interest back in the afternoon, so I don't have a morning coffee.
And almond butter.
Oh yeah, and almond butter. I love my acai bowls. For whatever reason, almond butter, I still don't have an interest in it. I used to love it. Just zero interest in almond butter. Otherwise, smells, like nothing too crazy that like I was repulsed by or anything like that. So yeah, just very, very lucky. Just truly feeling like very blessed for this, you know, healthy baby, and lucky that my pregnancy has been great. Workout wise, I would say just in the past week and a half, 10 days, I've noticed like, oh, okay, I need to like I need to do a couple modifications with like squats, deadlifts, kind of like the heavy weightlifting. And then even in Pilates, we were kind of doing something where you had to lay on your stomach and really push your hips into the reformer. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to kind of come up on my knees for that. So just slight modifications, but Otherwise, I do feel thankful in the first trimester. I only missed like maybe 2 or 3 workouts from just being tired after a long day of work. Feeling really, really good, really thankful. The other thing I wanted to mention in this video is how do we tell our families and friends, because everyone's kind of been asking that when we tell them that we're pregnant. So with Christmas, we went home to Pittsburgh for about 10 days, and my mom's birthday is December 30th. The weekend before going home, I slept for like 8 hours on the couch, like the Sunday before we were leaving, and I was like, Pat, I don't even know if we're gonna make it to my mom's birthday, like maybe not even Christmas, to be able to tell them. Like, I feel like my parents were gonna be like, what's wrong with you, you know? Fortunately, for whatever reason, I had like decent energy, so they had no clue, didn't pick up on that. Later, my dad said, you know, I noticed that the coffee wasn't being drank as like is it drink?
Drink.
Yeah, the coffee wasn't, they weren't going through the coffee as much, you know, but that was afterwards. Pittsburgh's known for Isley Chips ham. It's like a lunch meat deli. They stocked up on it because it's literally our favorite. Obviously, I couldn't have that, and we just didn't go through it either. Actually, on my mom's birthday, the 30th, I had gotten this cute little striped little gift box, and inside I had like a little baby's like newborn booties, and then little cute little animal tissue paper, and then I had printed out like a written thing that said, the only thing greater than you guys being our parents is that you'll be our baby's grandparents, baby coming August 2025. So, and then I underneath it put, for my sister, I was like, Marissa, you're gonna be an aunt. And so the 3 of them were sitting there, and we were opening my mom's birthday present, so that was like the next one. So that was super fun. Of course, they were so excited and just like, wait, what, you know? So that was exciting. And then Pat's mom and sister and our nephew came out. They were coming out when I was gonna be around 14 weeks. And so we had told, or so like 3 weeks before they were coming, essentially because of the timeline, we found out right around Thanksgiving. Because of the timeline, we weren't seeing the OBGYN. We weren't getting the ultrasound, like to confirm pregnancy, until 10 weeks, and then seeing the OBGYN like a week later. So a lot of times you can go and confirm at like eight weeks, I think, but just because of Christmas and how backed up, I guess, the office, like the OBGYN office gets around the holidays, it kind of delayed us a little bit. And actually, I feel like it has delayed us kind of continuously up until we're probably caught up now, because unless maybe this is normal, but we heard the heartbeat at 16 weeks, and I had friends that were like, what, you're just hearing it now? So my whole point in that was we kind of waited to tell, just because I feel like I wanted to actually confirm with an ultrasound, confirm with the OBGYN, and then kind of progress that way. For the bulk of our, like for most of our friends, I did wait until I think 16 weeks to tell everyone. We wanted to hear the heartbeat. I definitely feel like I've been a little more hesitant in sharing, like definitely kind of, yeah, waiting for those big appointments to kind of confirm everything. I feel so great. I don't have any sickness or anything, so I feel like the appointments have kind of been giving me like a lot, like confidence that everything's going well. Also, I feel like I've had quite a few friends that have had unfortunate loss with their babies very delayed, like 20 weeks, 17 weeks, like a little bit later. And so I think maybe just being a little more cautious than I would have maybe predicted for myself. I don't know. I try not to put too much thought into it, and I encourage that too. Like, even just in general, I thought I'd be married at this age and have first baby by this age. Like, I just feel like, just, you know, go with your life, live with your life, and just trust in God's plan, and everything kind of falls into place that way. But anyways, that's kind of the backstory. I know it's a little bit long. Overall, we're just so excited. I'm feeling really good. Can't believe that I guess I'm what, 5 months pregnant. Yeah, so what's next for us? We have a lot to like think about and to work through. We're in Southern California. Pat's parents are north of Charlotte. My family, siblings, his grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone is in Pittsburgh. Pat and I grew up together. So everyone's back in Pittsburgh. We freaking love it out here. But if you've caught some of the latest vlogs, Pat has a new job. He's 100% remote. So it's really nice. We're sitting in a really lucky position to be able to kind of make some decisions and kind of figure all that out. that is a fun note. We found out we were pregnant, and 10 days later, Pat had lost his job, unfortunately.
Fun note.
Yeah. Well, I feel like at the time I didn't say anything to anybody, of course. I mean, we were like literally 10 days pregnant, or I guess, what, almost 5 weeks pregnant, or what, 5 weeks pregnant at that point, you know? But we were just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so many changes, so many things happening. But literally we were just so excited to share the news with you guys, excited to, yeah, share, just in general, share. It feels like so fun to kind of share the news with everybody and our friends and family, all that. Content wise here, nothing will really change. I feel like I love doing vlogs on Wednesdays, just sharing what we're up to. So you'll kind of see baby and our life and all of that on Wednesdays. Typically I post on Wednesdays for the vlogs, and then Sundays will remain as fashion hauls. So just real excited and feeling really fortunate and blessed. Anything else?
I'm feeling great. I'm still sleeping great.
Oh yeah.
For now.
Yeah, the sleeping, I feel like I have hit a point now just in the last few weeks where I'm not sleeping as well, but it's okay. It's a minor thing, and yeah, just feeling really good. So that's the news. Excited to share it with you guys. So that's the update. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.